We are going to pack a lot of information into this next few minutes. Make sure you take a deep breath and you're ready to roll. Some of it's going to be a review, some of it will be new, but we're going to be looking at constant of proportionality, equations, tables, and graphs, and how to go back and forth between all of those. I'm going to first look at some graphs, and I'm going to tell you what I think is the easiest way. Remember, with math, there's a lot of different ways to do things, but I do what I find to be the easiest. I like to look at, I was trying to get my paper straight. I keep turning it the wrong way. Sorry. I like to look exactly where the point hits the x and the y axis. Remember, this is the x and this is the y. And I believe we talked a little bit last week about constant of proportionality and unit rate are the same. And the way we find that is to take y and divide it by whatever x is. So we're going to take y divided by x. So in this case, we get 4, which is the y, divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2, which equals 2. Now that gives us a couple pieces of information. Number one, that is the constant of proportionality, which is the unit rate, which means we can turn around and write an equation. Y equals 2x. So that means we're going to take x, and every time we multiply x by 2, we're going to get the dot that it wants graphed. Okay? So now if we look at the next one, it's a 20 and a 4. Remember, this is x and this is y. And we're supposed to take y and divide it by x. So in this case, it would be 20 divided by 4. And 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. If you wanted to be like, oh, I want to do a bigger number, there's no problem with that either. You can go, we got 100. Remember, it's easier when we focus on where the x and y axis meet. If you do 100 divided by 20, you're still going to get 5. So it doesn't matter as long as you look at the points where it hits the x and the y axis. So y equals 5x. That is your unit rate, which is also your constant of proportionality. So we're going to do one more. You can look at 27 and 3. So if I do 27 divided by 3, remember it is y divided by x, and that's going to give us 9. So if I go back and write my equation, we've got y equals 9x. Okay, so now we're going to take several different scenarios and try to move it into hitting all of these parts, the equation, the table, the graph, and the constant of proportionality. So if you're just given y equals 2x, well, first of all, I'm not going to write the whole word out. The constant of proportionality is going to be 2. Constant of proportionality is 2. That's pretty easy to find. Now we've done these x and y tables for a while, and for those of you that were here at school when we were going over them, you seem to do pretty well with them. I like to put little numbers. It really doesn't matter what you use, but if you have to graph them, we don't want to put 500, 600, 700, 800, because that would just be way too big to graph. So this means my equation is y equals 2x. So I'm going to take 2 and multiply it by whatever x is, which in this case it is 1, which gives me 2. 2 is my constant of proportionality, or my unit rate, and I'm going to multiply it by 2 in this row. That's going to give me 4. I go back to my equation, 2 times whatever x is, and x is 3 in this case, and that's going to give us 6. And then we've got 2 back to our equation, and times 4, which gives us 8. Now I'm not going to get graph paper out. We know that this is x and this is y. So I'm going to estimate. 1, 2 is here. And then 2, 4, and 3, 6, and 4, 8. And then if I had a if I draw my straight line, now I have my graph. And that graph goes through 0, 0, which is called our origin. And anytime a graph goes through the origin, it is considered proportional. And remember, we can also check to see if it's proportional. Remember, we cross-multiplied our diagonals, like 1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 2 is 4. And then we did 2 times 6 is 12, and 4 times 3 is 12. That lets us know also if it's proportional. Or you can draw your graph, and if it goes through 0, 0, and it's a straight line, then it's also going to be proportional. Okay? So now we've got our table, we've got our graph, we've got our equation, we've got our constant of proportionality, and if we wanted to make a scenario out of that, we could say 2 candy bars per day. So if somebody ate 2 candy bars every day, then in one day they're going to have eat 2. In 2 days they're going to eat 4. In 3 days they're going to eat 6. And in 4 days they're going to eat 8. So we could take that equation and say, well, how many candy bars are you going to eat in 108 days? Well, then you would just say 2 times 108 and get your 216. So that tells us a lot of different information. Okay? So now we're going to take it from a different view. This time we're going to start with a table. Well, we know that we can do constant of proportionality is y divided by x. So in this case, it would be 7 divided by 1. And 7 divided by 1 is 7. Let's do 14 divided by 2. We still get 7. 21 divided by 3, we still get 7. And 28 divided by 4 still gives us 7. So this 7 lets us know, first of all, it's proportional. And our constant of proportionality is 7. So if we wrote an equation, y equals 7x, that would be our equation. And then if we graphed it, which I'm going to run out of time, I want to try to graph real quickly. 1, 7, 1, 7, 2, 14, 3, 21, and then my line would be kind of a high slope, but then that's what our line would look like roughly for our graph. So we've got our table, our constant of proportionality is 7, our equation, and our table. So if we did a scenario of that, we might say that East Duplin scores 7 touchdowns every game. So that would be a scenario we could use with that. Now, if we started with this graph, again, we look, if we do 21 divided by 7, remember it's y divided by x. This is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. So our answer is going to be 3. So our constant of proportionality is 3. So y equals 3x. So if you made a table, remember sometimes our tables are horizontal, sometimes they're vertical. If I want to start with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, let's go one more. If I go back to my formula of y equals 3x, I know that I'm going to have to take 3 and multiply it by whatever x is every time. Whoops, I forgot my 3 in that one. Sorry. So this one's going to be 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 in this row. And 3 times 4 is 12. So here's our graph. Here's our table. Here's our equation. And if I just ask for the constant of proportionality, it would be 3. It tells you right there by that x what your unit rate or constant of proportionality is. So now, if I said Arturo completed 4 assignments in 1 hour, then this is my unit rate. So y equals 4x. And then we could graph, if I graph 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is y. Remember, they're all going to be y equals 4x. So this would be 4 times whatever x is, 4 times whatever x is, 4 times whatever x is. And we just keep substituting in that x every time. So this would be 0. And 4 times 0 gives us 0. 4 times 1. This one's going to be 4 times 2. This one's going to be 4 times 3. And this one's going to be 4 times 4. Okay? So what you're going to have to do for the next several days, you may have to watch this video again, is to go back and forth from tables, graphs, constant of proportionality. You might have a scenario like this. You could start lots of different ways, but you should all be able to go back to all of these parts at any given time. If you have any single one, you should be able to interchangeably go between them all. If you have any questions, just reach out to me and we will set up a Google Meet or something. Remember one other thing. I said it one time, but I feel like I need to say it one more time. Anytime a graph goes through the origin, which is 0, 0, all of these graphs go through the origin, that means it's going to be proportional. It's straight and it goes through the origin, which means it's going to be proportional. So y'all have a great week.